We will be starting very shortly. Waiting on my good buddy Logan Myers from last night. Guest on those post shows. Trying to get a few pallies on, but I promise we're gonna get extreme. Extreme as we can for a fucking random podcast. We are just waiting on Logan, guys. What's happening, Crooked? We're going to get started here soon. Waiting on my guests to arrive. Enjoying a little old school ECW throwback music, some super crazy. How are you, my friend? Oh, here was a good theme, too. Forgot about this.
Hey, yo, what's good, guys? Hey, can you hear me? Alright, just double checking, yeah. Because my thing could be kind of weird sometimes. Alright. Well,
Yeah, can you hear me all right? Oh man, the speaker actually works, huh?
yeah. Let's do it.
So it sounds all right, or do you need me to turn the speaker thing off and use my phone? Let me turn it off real quick.
Yeah, you're good. I can hear you just fine.
I was just, I don't know why
there
the
we
speaker
go.
was.
Well, now I can hear you wicked clear, so you're good. Let's fucking do it.
Hibiki Highspots, unannounced, spontaneous. Well, I've been wanting to do this stream for a while since I figured out fucking live streaming and all that jazz. Last night, once again, I got the man back. Thank you, our first ever Slam Pigs live stream post show. Logan Myers, what is going on, my friend? Thank you for doing this spur of the moment. What's up?
Man, I'm pumped to
No,
do
we're not.
this
We're,
with you
we're not
guys.
talking Raw. We're not talking SmackDown. This is our ECW memories show. And when I say ECW, Logan, you know what ECW I'm talking about. We're not talking fucking zombies and Nacho Libre stuff.
Yeah, we're not talking about bullshit fucking ECW where WWE pretty much just destroyed every meaning of the three letters of which we grew up with as children. Pretty
Basically.
much.
Yeah, and there he is, guys. Logan, once again, thank you, man, for coming back, pulling double duty. But for the first time ever on Hibiki TMD, the always popular over at the Grapple Vision stable, James Herbert. What is happening, man? Thank you for coming on. Also
Thank
spontaneous
you, man.
last minute.
By the way, it's Hebert,
Oh,
Hebert, but it's fine.
excuse me,
Everybody does it. It's
Hebert.
fine. Everybody does it. I'm not offended.
Oh, that's fine. I don't feel as bad then if everybody does it. But man, yeah, we've been meaning to get together for a while. Been meaning to have you on Slam Picks.
Oh
But this
yeah,
is
yeah.
good enough for now to hold us over. Thanks for hopping on, brother. I know you told me off air you got a lot of fond memories of ECW, like myself. Real quick, everyone, follow me on Twitter at the HibikiTMD. James, because I know Logan doesn't do a Twitter, so where can everyone check you out, man?
You guys can check me out on YouTube at jhebertside95. That's my user hashtag. You guys can check everything out there. I do custom theme work, custom Titantron work, and the whole nine. I also run a podcast called the Pro Wrestling Roundtable. You can also follow me on Twitter at jhebertside95. So make sure to check me out.
Look at this guy. Fucking professional shit. And yes, I was going to slap myself because I forgot to promote your podcast like a dumbass, but. And
It's fine. It's fine. That's not your job. I came in at last minute. It's good.
True.
It's good, man.
And
It's fine,
unfortunately tonight, guys, in the chat, I'm having some tech issues with my other laptop right now, so I won't be able to see the chat. I don't know if James or Logan will be popping in there, but
man. I can load the chat.
all right, cool. So hopefully we can
got it.
keep up with
Looks good.
anyone if maybe more than maybe a person shows up, because last night I don't think we did too well, but it's not about that. We still have a blast doing this stuff on a
Oh,
bigger
of
and better
course.
thing someday. But let's get right down to why we're here, gentlemen. First of all, doing something like this to me is such a fucking breath of fresh air, considering the modern era of wrestling, the frustrations
Oh
of
my
being a fan
god,
of the
you're
current
not
product.
kidding, man.
So much needless, pointless things to say about current wrestling. But let's not get ourselves down in the dumps. Let's talk about
Yes.
ECW. Yeah.
Let's not be grapple on the other stream. Basically bored out of his mind and basically only entertained with the chat when he was live streaming.
Shout out to Tom
Oh
Saw,
man.
my good buddy, Grapple
Yeah.
Vision. Hope to have Hibiki. I'm sorry. Where the fuck am I? Right? Hope to have Grapple Listen episode 3 done in the near future. But like I was saying, yeah, ECW. I mean, for what it is, you have your traditionalists like your Cornette camp. You got people that love or hate ECW. I guess there is kind of a gray area with it. I of course we can all agree there are
Well,
certain times in the promotion that definitely jump the shark. Like the
actually,
crucifixion angle.
isn't Cornette on the gray area though? Because he said as much that he enjoyed what he did for other guys that wouldn't get over in ECW and never anywhere else. He said so. I think he's technically in that gray area,
Maybe. See, it's
isn't
hard.
he?
It's so hard to tell with fucking guys like Cornette because you feel like everything's a work after a while and you don't know what to believe. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
it's you never know which way to turn kind of thing with guys because look at all the stuff back and forth with Russo. You know, I don't know, dude. It's
Yeah, true.
but
I mean, yeah.
Jim Cornette
Well, both
aside,
of
you
them.
can definitely say there are those fans though, like those loud and proud. NWA still exists in my heart, near and dear. Terry Funk's still world champion. You know who I'm talking about, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a fucking purist too. I'm I would prefer that over hardcore wrestling. But I think that ECW for me, I don't know about you guys, when it came about, when I first was exposed to it, I was like mid to late teens. So I was at that perfect fucking age, like at the cusp of needing something different in my wrestling. And of course, it got me. It hooked me. I don't know about you guys.
The first time I watched ECW, and this is like when I was like 4 years old, so it would be '99, and like I was a huge wrestling fanatic. I would have like, and I kid you not, by wrestling fanatic, I mean we had like 3 different TVs to watch every show. So like ECW, Nitro, again Raw's War. Um, I always would never be disappointed with an ECW show. And I remember the first one I was exposed to was Heatwave '99, and I fucking fell in love with the product. I was like, "Holy shit, this is so cool! All these cool wrestlers and all this hardcore action."
Damn
It
it.
was like something
You
I'd
took
never
you
seen
you were
before.
exposed to the show with quite possibly the best heel promo of all time, and you know what I'm talking about.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh,
Wow,
yes,
what a
I
way
do.
to fucking get your feet wet with EC. But Logan, I mean, you're a little bit younger than myself. When did you actually start watching ECW? Was it through like was it later after it folded through like DVDs and stuff, or when it was actually like active?
Yeah, it was definitely a little later than you guys, but I do remember watching Heatwave '99, and I remember a lot about Heatwave, somewhat. But to me, the first person that comes to mind for ECW is Tommy Dreamer.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know why, but just Tommy Dreamer was just, to me, was the face of ECW. Besides, your RVDs
Right.
and Sabu's and all that. But
Well, Tommy Dreamer was like the heart and soul of ECW. I think the face of ECW will forever, even though he sucked in the ring, it will forever be the Sandman, the most iconic entrance ever. Uh, no matter how you look at it, and he may not be able to wrestle, but he was the face of that promotion. He was the embodiment of what ECW stood for, bar none.
And you know what? I like it right off the bat because all three of us have a different perception of the face. See, for me, maybe this speaks to the purest thing. When I think ECW, I think the franchise Shane Douglas. That's the first guy that comes to my mind for some reason. I totally get it with Tommy Dreamer, like being the flag bearer and stuff, but god damn. And I still say to this day, like in '99 when Triple H finally went, he started wearing like the leather biker hat and he started going full heel. He totally ripped off the franchise. He totally did.
Yeah,
Promo style wise. And
absolutely.
I don't think that gets dwelled on enough. I don't think Douglas gets enough credit for that. You know?
Yeah, because Douglas, everyone kind of shits on Douglas. Oh, Douglas, all he did was swear. I can do that too. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's his delivery and his promos and everything. Like, here's a good example for nowadays. Like Drew McIntyre and his WCPW promo. That shit was fucking fire.
Yes.
Like the passion in his voice, the passion on the microphone, every word that he spoke meant something, and that is what Shane was able to do with every promo he ever did. He just had
Great
this
example.
aura
Great
about him.
could be this modern era's version of Shane Douglas, a guy who was let go, wasn't really given. I mean, he was with the Chosen One shit, but so was, and as bad as it was, Dean Douglas did get a push at first. People don't remember that. So, and then
Yes,
they both were let go, and
and
they
then
found themselves in a quote
and
unquote
then the
indie
click
environment.
happened.
And
The
now,
click happened.
unfortunately for one of the men, Shane Douglas, he never really came back with a fury or vengeance. But it seems like McIntyre, especially from what I've seen in NXT with him lately, is definitely on the right track.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as Tommy Dreamer, you talk about a guy who basically ran fucking ECW by the time it folded. He was running. Let's be honest. You've heard it a million shoots. Yeah, he was legit. Heyman was totally ducked out. A couple months.
Spent. He was checked.
You know?
After the TNN bullshit, you knew he was like really he was going through like a lot of I don't know what you'd call it, depression. That's what I felt like because like when he made his occasional appearances, like he would be the scruffed up beard and everything and the bags under his eyes, like he was checked out mentally. There was no way to come back from that at that point. That's why Tommy had to take over, if anything.
Yeah. You gotta. I mean, we've all seen the Paul Heyman DVD that came out and whatnot, and which was excellent, by the way. I love that documentary. But he talks about he literally invested his life savings into that company, his money. I mean, it was easy. It was really easy to criticize the man at the time, bouncing checks. It still is, but catch 22. What the fuck would you do? Flip the script. I mean, it's really tough call. Logan, as far as guys like Sabu, Rob Van Dam, like you brought up, who obviously carried the company towards later years, do you think Sabu is one of the most overrated guys possibly ever? I'm not saying I feel that way. It was just.
I can almost say yes to that because there was, to me, Sabu was extreme. Yes, he did some hardcore stuff, but you cannot look at Sabu as that most extreme guy in ECW around that time, because you got to look at guys like Terry Funk, Mick Foley. It's just
Terry Funk and Mick Foley beat the piss out of each other.
They really did.
Like,
stuff you'll never see make air either, like the incident where the flaming, the branding iron thing where it flew into the crowd.
Iron. I honestly loved that, and not necessarily for the moment because I cringed at the moment, But looking back on it, I love the call Joey Styles makes. He's sitting cactus with a flaming priming iron. Like the best call you could have done.
That is another person that a lot of people immediately think when they think ECW, just because that was the pretty much only voice you ever heard, unless the
Yeah.
rare times he would have like I remember Heatwave '98, which in my opinion is the best ECW pay per view. He had Shane
Yeah.
Douglas as his broadcast journalist co-host, and they played well off each other. But I think a lot of people love or hate Styles. It's too much or it's awesome. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of in between on Styles.
Yeah.
He's not as annoying as the guy Chris Kloss from XPW. That was
Oh my
shit.
lord.
That guy was fucking
Fuck him.
abysmal.
Fuck him. I hated him so much. Like, it was like, I hated the whole XPW thing, but let's not talk about that. So with Joey Styles, here's the best thing you can say about Joey. So if Sandman is the face, Tommy Dreamer is the heart and soul, and Shane Douglas is the franchise, Joey Styles by far is the voice of ECW without question. Without question.
You know what a ragtag group of fucking drug-addled misfits to be surrounded by. And Joey Styles, I've never heard a controversial thing about him. I've always just heard he's like this hardcore right-wing Republican, but you never heard like drug scandals. Like he kept straight-laced that we know of through that entire run. And give the man a little props because I mean, Christ, you talk about a locker room of just tragedy. And I mean, yeah, this is a memory show, and that doesn't just mean positives. For a lot of good ECW did for wrestling, I was never a fan of the rotten fist dipped in glass battle. I didn't. That's too much for
that
me.
was too much for me.
Logan, I don't know if you got down on hardcore like that.
Like this is when I
don't mean to cut you off, but I just actually went to an indie show a couple like 2 months ago that actually had a match like that.
Oh no!
Wow.
I hope it was faked. They had to have been fake.
No, it was brutal.
It was legit.
I don't know. You slip some athletic commissions some money, dude. You just be surprised what you can get away with. Let's be real. Especially with a fucking outlaw indie promotion. There's so much fucking shady stuff.
I don't know if you remember Travis Chucky Manson.
Yes.
That was at the.
Yeah, he got a picture with my daughter holding his barbed wire bat.
Yeah.
And that's legit. I'll try to throw a picture up sometime.
Hashtag fun for the whole family.
Yeah.
Well, he's involved in this match. He was involved in that match and actually got cut pretty badly on his arm. It was a big gash. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
no need for a blade job when you're getting cut open with glass.
That match with the Rottens was most definitely the scars initially from you could see because when they were just a tag team, like a bad breed or whatever they were called, they weren't as banged up, and then they had that match, and it was just, it was downhill from there. Another match that went down, and this was more of an accident, but I mean, it's kind of what the fuck did you expect type thing, was the fucking infamous barbed wire match with Terry Funk and Sabu.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I cringed.
Yeah.
I cringed when they were, like, entangled in that fucking barbed wire. Like, they had to end the match, even though Terry Funk's shoulders weren't fully down, because it was just that brutal. Oh, my God,
it was really bad. What about some things you think from ECW that were totally glorified looking back that don't hold up? Because, I mean, for what he was, I love Joel Gertner, but sometimes, man, like, I think it was more like I was a teenager. Totally, that's why he was so over with me. Because he's still funny in a way, but not as much now as, 20 years later.
Definitely, for me, it was Taz.
I can see
that.
Taz
was a badass, but as soon as you put him into WWE and pair him up with Kurt Angle looks so much taller than him. It's so bad.
I mean, Sabu looks taller than him, and Sabu's not even that tall. You know what I mean? It's like, but shout out to Paul Heyman because especially in 97 they started that insane monster push, or late 96. He made you believe, like you've heard in documentaries, he really was the baddest motherfucker on the planet. They did a great job.
They really did.
And you've heard it from a ton of guys that he was like good and like he was a quote unquote black belt and whatever, judo, whatever, but a lot of guys said he was kind of a cream puff. Like it was all gimmick. And that's why I think Heyman did a great job.
Could you imagine like gimmick wise, we had Goldberg and Lesnar in the Universal title match this year. Could you imagine Taz in that mix? Like as skinny as he was back then and as short as he is.
You know
He would
what?
look so out of
If in
place
another
for
time and booked by Paul Heyman, I could see that. I could believe that
I
because they
actually
did that with
could.
Mike Awesome, and I believed it when he was in there with Mike Awesome. You know what I mean? It is doable,
Yeah,
done the right way.
yeah. And by the way, Mike Awesome, like Taz, is the only one he fucking sold for, and that was because he was on his way out of the fucking company anyway.
Yeah, that's.
Fucking,
There's another
I
controversial story about Mike Awesome, and God, such a tragic end to a guy who I thought was a really good. Not I don't want to say great worker, but a big man spot. Because let's be honest, the psychology in Masato Tanaka matches was
he
non-existent.
had
Let's go through
he had
500 fucking tables and just stand right up.
he
I
had
mean, it
money.
was about the
Let's be honest,
spectacle.
like
FWW.
God rest his soul and everything, and he was definitely a huge instrumental part of ECW and the whole hardcore scene of pro wrestling at the time. But dude, the guy had no psychology. Let's be fucking real. Like this dude, like, oh yep, you're gonna go through a table. I'm not gonna take a single effing bump, and you can kiss my
Yeah.
ass if you think I will.
And I was going to say at the same
That was
time,
Mike Awesome.
we're doing an ECW retrospective and we're asking for ring psychology. That's something else we need to
Yeah.
maybe
Well,
reevaluate.
yeah, but I mean, like, think about it though. Like, look at the people that do have psychology. Like, there was people that had psychology. Sandman had more psychology than Mike Awesome.
You know what?
That's saying a
That
lot.
statement is so sad but completely accurate. I can't argue with that
It
statement.
is.
I really can't, and I'm trying to find some way to argue with that statement, and it's not coming. Logan, here's something that I've been dying to talk to you about. What the hell was your first perception the first time you saw the man called New Jack in an ECW ring?
Oh, I gotta hear this.
You're gonna throw me under the bus here?
Because you and I have never, I think in all the times you've guessed it on Slam Pigs, you and I for some reason have never talked New Jack, and I'm really actually curious. I'm sure you're not a fan.
Uh, no,
Please don't kill us.
You're not a fan.
no. This is a subject that I don't even really want to talk about.
Because
That's how bad.
you're afraid he's gonna hit
That's
you
how
with a fucking
terrified
pitchfork.
this man is, everyone. For those of you not familiar with New Jack, look at Logan borderline pissing his pants, and I just mentioned the man's name. We can gloss over it. It's fine. It's up to you.
Yeah,
We can talk about
Yeah.
Mustafa.
I'm gonna change subjects here.
So I shouldn't hit
I'm
his theme
serious,
music right now. All right, go.
and I want to talk about something else. You know, many guys that came into ECW were mainly ECW guys. And what I have a question for you guys. What is there a guy in your mind that was made, that helped make his career or make their career bigger to get to the WWE through ECW back in the day? Is there somebody that you can think about in your mind?
Right off the top of my head, Rob Van Dam easily.
Yeah.
Van Dam, man, the amount of belts that this dude has won because of his ECW television title run after that fact is ridiculous. The dude's resume is insane. I mean, what is it? He's a world heavyweight champion, a WWE champion, intercontinental champion, hardcore champion,
Not even that.
multi-time hardcore
You can even
champion.
take titles out of the equation with Rob Van Dam, and you could say he's the biggest mainstream star to ever come out of that company. Let's be honest, from like
Absolutely.
in 2002 to like 2005, he was borderline kind of a household name as far as pro wrestling when it was brought up. Like everyone knew who Rob Van
Yeah,
Dam was.
yeah, like no one could touch his popularity. Absolutely no one. As far as Van Dam from ECW WWE transition, no one could touch
The
him.
only people that
The
could have
only
fucked
one,
up
the
that kind
only
of
one,
momentum were the ones that did, the company itself. Wow.
the only one that I would say exceeded him would be Mick Foley, but the difference between Foley
Not
and
homegrown.
Van Dam,
I know where we're going.
Van Dam, like it's obvious.
I mean,
He
you can
knew when to
say
take
that
the
he
big
was
spots.
everyone can they could bring up he was Robbie V in WCW
Yeah,
first. He was there for like a fucking cup of coffee, maybe a year at that. I mean,
yeah.
Cactus Jack made his name way before ECW, like in fucking World Class Championship Wrestling. He was getting done. You know what I mean? So it's kind of apples and oranges in a way, and I totally agree. Logan.
I think, yeah, but him
Yeah,
in
okay.
Japan and him in ECW were like the highlights.
I would agree. But Logan, to answer your question, I don't know, man.
You don't know? Well, I'm going to throw a name out there, and this is just a personal opinion. You know who I think really transitioned? I mean, he didn't start at ECW, but when he finally got to ECW back in 19, I'm thinking it's 1995.
Not even phased.
When, huh?
Nothing. Keep going. He's coming for you. Do you hear him? Yeah, keep going.
Do 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 do.
What the fuck was that? Was there? Anyway, Luke, go
That
ahead.
was my New Jack impression.
New Jack is going
his
away, I
theme.
promise. You may have the floor.
It was definitely 1995 when Stone Cold arrived in ECW and did those in-ring interviews when he was recovering from his injury. I
Yeah.
think that helped
Oh yeah.
jump.
Oh yeah.
Was your question like who
Damn,
was?
how did we forget about that?
Well, I thought you meant like who was homegrown from ECW that became the biggest star, not like who went to ECW for like a cup of coffee. Then you know. But if you're talking that way, of
I mean,
course, Steve
I'm
Austin.
like,
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you're saying like benefited? Yeah, then Steve Austin all the
Totally.
way. I mean, he became the biggest superstar, for fuck's sake.
He literally in those promos would resonate off the camera. Like something about his eyes in those I remember were so fucking intense, and you could.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night.
Yeah, the worst Eric Bischoff
Where the big boys
impersonation
play with
ever.
each other.
that's when he was known as Superstar Steve Austin, right?
Yes.
You are correct. Good on you.
Yep, and he went on to feud with Mikey Whipwreck, the Sandman. He had then he shaved his head, and I remember the ECW arena fans chanting Forrest Gump and Bruce Willis or something at him because he looked like Bruce Willis from Die Hard, something weird like that. Um, let's talk about the different it was Eastern Championship Wrestling, as we all know. Eddie Gilbert was the booker. Drama, tension went down. Eventually, it fell into the hands of Paul Heyman through Todd Gordon. It's a tangled web. But when Paul Heyman took over, we all know the swerve, the ECW swerve on Dennis Coralluzzo, the NWA president at the time, with Shane Douglas with the infamous promo, one of the best promos in ECW by far. I know that promo probably line for line. By the way, I could probably recite it from the hip if I put effort into it.
Yeah, legit. Like the best, maybe the best promo in wrestling at that time period, between mid '95, mid '96, no question. Like that promo was fucking fire.
Like the different eras, or quote unquote, whatever you say, of ECW. You had your early days of ECW. Now you had like your 90, like when I said Eastern, you had your 93 Jimmy Snuka and Don Morocco were like the first champions. Some of that shit I can't watch. It's all on the network. Every single episode now is on the network, which is awesome. I was really excited. But going back and watching it does not hold up, the early ones, until obviously they go ECW. And it's a little shaky too, to be honest. Some of those public enemy matches are hard to sit through. It's just a big brawl. I'm not a big brawl guy, especially like looking back from something at like 94 or 95. But the early stages of ECW, I mean, what can you say? A lot of people don't give enough credit to Too Cold Scorpio either. He was a huge deal.
Too Cold Scorpio, and I remember some of my favorite matches. Like looking back on the history, I loved his match with Chris Jericho Lionheart.
Yes.
Fucking amazing match.
Another guy that passed through.
Yeah, he was fucking great. He was a great talent, man. He was a part of the final two in the original. Well,
Him and Shane Douglas were the last.
Yeah, him and Shane Douglas were the final two.
Yeah.
And he's never given enough credit. You want to know the funny thing too?
He was given a chance. He was given a chance in ECW to go heel for the first time. You know what I mean? And then that showed a whole other side to his character too. And I liked him better as a heel, honestly.
Oh yeah, by far.
He was great.
You know what's funny to me? And Travis, you can ask me if I'm like crazy, but do you remember when TNA tried their horrific attempt at an ACW reunion show, and it had, I think it was C.W. Anderson and it was Scorpio.
It was Hardcore Justice, and they used like the blue lighting. Like, why didn't they just get a light blue fucking mat like ECW
I don't want to
had?
talk. Yeah, exactly. I'm not talking about like that per se.
Right.
I'm
But I
just
know
talking about his match. Too Cold Scorpio. I thought he was 10 times better in the ring than he has been even when he was in early ECW. Was
Do
that
you
just me?
I'll throw you another one. Do you remember the first one night stand in '05? Do you remember the show the night before that Shane Douglas ran? That I have the DVD for still somewhere up in the vault.
I
Hardcore
remember that.
Homecoming. It was like
Yeah,
yeah, it
Hardcore
was like a triple
Homecoming.
threat barbed wire ladder match. Anyway, on the card it was Too Cold Scorpio and Kid Cash. And at the time it was like '05, and Scorpio was like a tag champ in Noah, in Pro Wrestling Noah. So he was cut as shit. He was like borderline had an 8-pack. He like looked the best I'd ever seen him, but you can tell he's aged a little bit, but he can still get it. Like in my opinion, and I've never been a huge Kid Cash fan, Logan. I don't know about you. He outshone Kid Cash in that match by far. Just the Kid Rock thing, I couldn't get over Logan with Kid Cash. I mean, yeah, he was a flippity doo dah guy, but
I liked his gimmick more in TNA, like when he kind of became more rugged instead of like being the Kid Cash kind of guy.
he
Like
just
that, I like that gimmick better.
you hear
Kid
so many
Cash could go. Though. He could really go in the ring.
Oh fuck yeah, he
you hear
was
so many
he
stories about him being a prick though to guys, like just being a cock. It's hard to like somebody like that, I guess. Like and it's
I,
when it keeps being story after story after story, you wonder is it really speculation or is this guy really a fucking prick? You know what I mean?
do you, let's have a little trivia bit actually, because I'm curious on this, because I remember WWE did this. Who do you guys think um would benefit if ECW say was still around? Who do you think would fit the mold nowadays?
Um,
As far as like ECW, because I remember WWE kind of did that.
Chris Hero.
Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, Dean Ambrose, yeah, but yeah, definitely. I don't think he could. I don't think he could be more over if he wasn't in ECW. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I think
Cesaro.
Kevin Owens. Maybe?
Kevin
Cesaro.
Owens, most definitely too. Yeah, I agree with Owens.
Yeah.
Maybe
Cesaro.
I'm not. Maybe Alistair Black. Maybe like if he could be more serious
Mr.
and more
Black. Yeah.
badass. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
tough.
Mr. Black. I like the.
Heck, you could go ahead. I'll let you go first.
The
I
authors of
think
Pain would actually
Cesaro.
fit perfect in ECW.
Fuck
Sorry to cut
yeah.
you off. That just
Authors of
came to me.
Pain. Yeah.
They would without
Very
Paul
much
Ellering.
so.
No Paul Ellering. I'm good. Just them.
Yeah. Paul Ellering really annoys me. I don't know why. um. I like, who I think really could work very well in that style and probably would be champion like 5 times over, even though he should have been already. Cesaro. He's so fucking underutilized in WWE. He could benefit a lot if ECW was around
In
now. Did
ECW,
you?
because
Yeah, in
ECW, I think those
ECW.
guys, and in my opinion, maybe that was a company that you used mic work to get you over more than in ring work or like character wise. And I don't think Cesaro. I think he would have been totally like. Do you remember Ulf Herman? He was in the FBI. He was like the German guy. That's a throwback, by the way.
Well,
Like
let's think about it
I
like
think
this
they would have
though.
comedy gimmicked him. I think they would have thrown him in the FBI. It was just that time where
I
and,
don't
and
know.
it
I
really
don't know if
sucks to say
ever.
this, but foreign talent wasn't treated very fairly in this time period.
True,
They are
but
stereotyped to hell and back, and that sucks. But it
no.
was the way it was.
Let's think about it like this though. Cesaro may look foreign, but like with his look now, say ECW was around now,
It's
I
about
think the
sounding
dude,
foreign
I
though, like
think the
promo
dude,
wise. I don't think he looks
he
foreign. I
he
think he looks like a white dude.
he
Like
he,
you know what I mean?
he definitely sounds foreign.
Yeah.
No one's disputing that. But my theory is this: think of Rob Van Dam and how over he was, and he didn't necessarily have the best mic skills, but with the shit that Paul Heyman told him to say, it was like I don't even know how. It's like Paul Heyman had the magic touch with almost everybody in that company because he would hide the weaknesses so well. He would micromanage everything,
Yeah.
dude. If there was a fucking napkin near his computer, he'd be like, "Who the fuck put that there?"
The only thing
While
about
he's
Heyman's
asleep.
booking that I guess I don't know about you guys, it really annoyed me. Like especially for every pay per view, that same format of a match blending into a match. That shit got tired. Like I don't like how many times can Nova and Chris Chetty come save the day? Like every fucking pay per view, it seemed like towards the end, it was always this blended mat. Like I don't know. I know that was their deal. That was their
How many
gimmick. Like there's no rules here. It's ECW, but
how many times can Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn always fight, even though they were awesome?
You know, and we brought up,
Like,
guys, we brought up Cornette at the top of the show tonight, and I think one of the best quotes I've ever heard to sum up ECW is from a story I heard him tell about Chris Candido. You remember when Cornette guys and Lawler debuted in the ECW arena, and like, you know how the lights went out in the
yeah, I
kitchen?
remember this. Yep,
Okay, well,
yep.
like apparently Cornette told the story of that phone call to Candido. Candido begged him and said, "Please, please, we need you to do this. We have a surprise at every show." And Cornette's response was, "Well, if it's a surprise, how can it be every fucking show? That needs to elicit a response of being surprised. They expect it." And I think that sums up ECW in a nutshell. Towards the end, they just kept relying on always having, I don't know, it never slowed down. Like shit ran too fast. Like New Jack will jump off a balcony and let's breeze right by it a segment later. That kind of shit needs dwelled on, and that's the kind of shit that
Yeah,
makes old school wrestling psychology still relevant. An NWA feud, Dusty Rhodes could get his ankle hit with one chair shot, and they could run with that for 5 months. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's
yes,
what's
yeah,
missing.
yeah.
And ECW definitely took a big fucking jizz shot all over pro wrestling with hotshot booking, and it needed it. I'm not debating that. Pro wrestling needed it, but it also hurt it just as much.
It did.
You know who else would benefit nowadays to the ECW style?
Is that?
And I failed to think about this until I started thinking about his matches with Kevin Steen. Then in Ring of Honor was Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
I could see.
yeah.
I could now you think about it, I could see Austin Aries doing very well in ECW, like kind of book him like a Shane
Austin
Douglas type
Aries.
character, maybe put him in a heel stable.
Austin Aries. Yeah.
Neville could be the RVD type guy.
Good.
Neville, yeah.
See
I
that.
mean, nah, Neville, I feel like is such a different character now compared to back then. But Austin Aries by far would benefit so well. I mean, anywhere Austin Aries goes, he's been a champion. You know,
And he shines, in my opinion.
yeah,
Yeah.
he shines. He's one of
I
the
think
best
the main
mic'd
guy
object.
that I think the main guy that would benefit is Dean Ambrose in
Here's
today's world.
here's one guy that would absolutely
Can't argue
benefit
with that.
because Paul Heyman knows that booking and booking wins matter for a character. Bray Wyatt would absolutely benefit if he was in ECW because he would not lose every feud.
Yeah.
Like,
They would book
it's
him. That would be their Raven. That's another guy we have neglected to mention. What Raven did, who doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion.
Raven was so good.
Man, you talk about a
Close to
character that
Raven
was just
Nevermore.
at that time period. Raven was like the epitome of what a cool character was before the NWO, before any of that shit. Raven was fucking bad. I remember the first time I ever saw Raven. It was in like a PWI issue. I didn't even see him on TV yet. I'm like, who the fuck is that? I had no clue it was Johnny Polo. Granted, I'm like 12 or 13. You know what I mean? I didn't know though, because they did such a great job of his character change. You really, at first, you really had to. That's not Johnny Polo? And then yeah, lo and behold, you know.
Yeah, it's Johnny Polo.
Um,
You're not able to tell for so long, like unless you actually looked it up too. The only way you tell is like when he starts balding
well, I
in
mean, now
TNA.
if you
Like that's
had,
when you realize, oh shit, that's Polo.
I know
What?
Logan is in the Logan's located in the West Virginia area. I'm in PA. I don't know where you're located at, James, but I didn't get
I'm in
ECW.
Massachusetts.
Oh, there you go. So I don't know if you got ECW weekly when it was like, not closed circuit, but you know what I mean.
Nah, this is back when this is when they had like the monthly or semi-monthly pay-per-views back then,
But like
and I would watch
going back
when
with the
they had a
network,
Polo
like we
deal.
talked about, I did like the debut of Raven on ECW television. They did say he was Johnny Polo, but I had never seen that. That was, you know what I mean. So I never knew. But that feud with Tommy Dreamer, brought up Tommy Dreamer earlier too, was maybe one of the best feuds they ever had, just because they ran so long with Dreamer never beating him till the very end.
Yeah, Raven is a very. I mean, it's a shame because if he wasn't such a drug, I feel like he could have done wonders as a top heel in any company. Like that's how good he was.
Not even
Like,
that. You hear it from so many guys how brilliant of a mind he has for wrestling. I
yeah,
think he could have been a phenomenal booker for a promotion. You know,
yes,
and who's to say he
I
didn't
think he
book a
could.
lot of shit for ECW?
Can he
Don't
write for
forget
the
the Dudleys too.
can he
Yes.
write for WWE now, please?
I did see he was on
Please.
that table of three or a countdown or something. Did you see that? He was back on the network on like a new episode. He had like a Nirvana
Yeah,
shirt on or something, but he looked like
yeah,
Raven. Uh,
looked like Raven.
That's
They
another
look
good
like
one.
old men.
That is a great name drop. And if we went the whole show without mentioning these guys, we're doing injustice. The Dudleys and ECW. At first, it was comedy bullshit. Yeah, it was. But what it became towards
Devon
the
coming
end.
in, dude, changed the game when Devon came into the picture.
Would you say these guys were the best heels in the history of ECW? Because I
Fuck,
would say, yeah.
absolutely.
The entire
I think
package
I
with
think
Gertner, sign guy, all of it.
that may have been the most. Uh, there may be definitely the top 5 riot causers
Yeah.
in the history of pro wrestling.
They literally did start
They're
riots.
definitely up there. They have to be. There's no way they're not in the top 5 because Bubba Ray would literally have fans try to take a fucking swing at him. Like, he would make security's job hard, so much harder,
And
and it was fucking funny.
And
You could look
for
at back.
all the heat that, Bully Ray, whatever you want to call him, has gotten over the years from the IWC, whatever you want to call people on the internet, you gotta admit, man, like he was one of those guys back then. Like, it's one thing back in the NWA with, like, the
It's one of
midnight.
those guys now.
There was a difference
Like,
back in the 80s with those southern crowds with, those riots because those people still believed in it. For them to incite riots in 98, 99, when everyone knew it was staged, the curtain was pulled back, that speaks to how good of fucking heels they were. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
That speaks volumes to
absolutely.
how fucking good
Like,
they
they
were.
got lost. They got lost in the moment by far because of like what he was saying. Like, he was calling women skanks and
Yeah.
hoes and like all
The,
this
the,
shit.
the infamous taught your daughter how to suck penis line we all have
Fucking
grown to
love
love over
that.
the years. Logan, what is your take since you brought him up on the Dudley's time in ECW?
I think, I have a question for you guys about them. Do you think if the Dudleys did not come to ECW that they would become that big of a tag team?
Not at
Absolutely
all.
not.
No way.
Absolutely not.
They would have been
Because
cannon fodder
well,
jobbers in WCW because they were never given a chance
yeah,
to be the heels they were.
there was no way because when Paul Heyman, this is literally, it happened all by chance. You couldn't script how that came together. Like, it started as Travis said, as like kind of like this comedy gimmick where like there was a bunch of members in the family, and then they eventually brought in Devon. So Bubba was there before Devon, and Devon then came in, and that whole thing between Bubba and Devon actually started as a feud. It
Yeah.
started as a feud, and
Yep.
they would have fucking brawls, dude. Like, they beat the piss out of
They
each
did.
other every night. Almost
Underrated
as
matches.
bad as, like, basically think of Axel and Ian Rotten minus the fucking, glass on their fucking
You
fists.
can, yeah, you can
That's
think of
how
it. It's
brutal
like a
this shit was.
tolerable Axel versus Ian. That's what the best way to describe
Exactly.
it.
And it was so entertaining. And then Bubba came up with to Paul, and it's like, this is getting old. We don't want this to go on forever. How about instead of us fighting, you and I team up and let's see what happens.
Well, he knew what
And
he was doing too at the time because an Ebony and Ivory team was controversial and never really been done before. He knew exactly what he was doing
yeah,
and it worked. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. Which already sparked heat for a lot of those
Yeah.
fans immediately during that time period.
Like the closest maybe we had to that was Sherry with Harlem Heat on that kind of borderline controversy. And Paul, like this is a lot about Heyman. He was a master craftsman at sneaking that kind of subtlety in there to get things over even the edge even more. Like, because
Mhm.
at the same time, as much as they were hated, that was never really like the issue in front of you. It was never about their race, but the way he snuck that in there, like that was always in the back of like those kind of fans' minds that had that to fall back on to made them even worse heels. And that's what makes
Yep.
a brilliant booker.
That was the cool part about Paul Heyman in general, was that he knew talent, and if it
He
wasn't for
still
Paul
does.
Heyman, in my opinion, a lot of talent wouldn't be even thought of today.
Okay,
Yeah.
because we're running out of time, guys, and there's so much more we could say about ECW. Maybe I'll do a volume 2 or part 2 as WWE likes to milk ECW someday down the road. But I'm going to do a quick word association. A couple guys we didn't bring up from ECW real quick before we get out of here. You guys ready? Rapid fire session, lightning round.
Let's fucking do it.
First name, Just Incredible. First thing that comes to your mind.
Amazing.
The best way to summarize him as quickly as possible, or what he did in ECW this time, or your opinion. I can come back to
for me. PJ Polacco trying to be cool. that's you want my honest opinion.
Logan, you got anything on the Portuguese Man of War?
And he's trying to make me laugh over here. I'm trying to think. It's just not working.
I'll just say fine. I'll move it along. I'll just say my real quick thoughts on it. Jean shorts get a guy over. Next guy, Steve Corino, the king of old school himself.
He was great. He was great. He still is.
He really is. Better than ever, I would say. By the way, as far as his wit and his. Logan, thoughts on Corino? Any opinion on him? Neither here nor there on the guy, or?
I don't know much about him, but I will say I've seen. Great wrestler.
Now this one's more or less the matches these two guys had, because they're pretty much one and the same if you describe them as characters and what they did. Super Crazy and Tajiri.
Yes.
My God.
There you go.
Super Crazy.
Just yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What could you say, guys? If you've never seen that, go back. It's. Yeah, I know we talk a lot about psychology, but this is those rare occasions where it doesn't. I don't know. They were just so good together. They were like peanut butter and jelly in the ring. A great tag team in ECW: John Cronus and Perry Saturn, the Eliminators.
Total elimination.
I'm gonna throw out a name and see your opinions.
Well, no, I got like three more. That you can do whatever. And this one's a very enticing one. The Queen of Extreme, Francine.
There you go. No words. Just
Logies?
a lot of grunting.
A lot of grunting from James. Logies, you got some ooze to go with that grunting?
I actually really don't know much about him.
I thought, in my opinion, since nobody wants to give her proper respect, I thought Francine and Shane Douglas was a phenomenal package together. They were brilliant. She was in my opinion, one of the most underrated valets for a guy ever, because she made him as much as he made her.
Yeah, and they hated each other apparently.
Hated each other. At the very end, apparently, and they've gone back and forth. Apparently, they've made up, or I don't know. There's so much speculation with those two. There's a lot of speculation when they were friendly too with his wife, and
she's just jealous that she can't have him. Let's be honest, she's just crushing on him, and he probably dated a different girl behind the scenes. That's probably what did it. That's my observation, because that's just the type of shit that I see.
Who knows?
With that,
it's the last one's kind of like, okay, this is the last actual talent, the Blue World Order.
Yes.
And the last one, guys, really the legacy of ECW. We all know when it was brought back from WWE, it was a cash grab, and they didn't give a shit about it. Paul Heyman went insane for the 50th time, and he quit the company again. And December to Dismember, we all know, is one of the worst pay-per-views ever fucking made. From your Kevin Thorns to your Zombies to Bobby Lashley to your Big Show with the title. It's a nostalgia act, and we all know that. If ECW would have never folded, the legacy, how much steam do you think it really had left in it if it did have the funding?
I don't know. I mean, you want me to be honest?
I want you to lie. I want you to tell bold-faced lies.
You want to tell me bold-faced lies? I think they had a chance, but they didn't have the right roster. Actually, I'll make this really quick, because I actually created a roster, and I have it up right in front of me, of the people I would have picked for ECW version 2 when WWE brought it back. And these are some of the people I would have picked. I would have done everything I could have done to get these people. I won't, just for the sake of time, I'll run through them really quick. Adam Pearce, these are single stars. Adam Pearce, AJ Styles, Alex Riley, Antonio Cesaro, Black Dynamite, Shelton Benjamin and MVP were actually really good. Brandon Webb, independent guy. Brock Lesnar, I would have done everything I could to get him back for this because he's a Paul Heyman guy. Come on. Chris Harris, CM Punk, D'Angelo De Niro, otherwise known as, I did like him. What was his name in WWE? Elijah Burke. Elijah Burke. He would have been great in any ECW back then or now.
I did like the Pope at first.
Yeah, with the Pope gimmick. Justin Gabriel, I would have got him. I think he was actually really good, and I think he should have been brought up sooner.
Would you have gotten Sylvester Turkai along with your Elijah?
No, fuck him.
Or Rusev #1, pretty much.
Yeah. I would have gone I would have tried to bring in a different version of the Eliminators, kind of like trainees of Perry Saturn, because I believe he actually did train 2 different guys.
Like a revival or DIY type?
Yeah, the revival. Yeah, type, yeah, I think so. But it's like kind of different. But they're basically the Eliminators version 2. I just don't know what their name is. The FBI I'd bring back, and I wouldn't job them out. I would actually create a tag team. That was another problem. They didn't have enough tag team titles, mainly because I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
I did like Finley. I thought he fit the mold. I did, as much as we hate him in real life, Hardcore Holly, I think, fit the mold as far as gimmick.
He was actually in ECW. That's the sad part. We can say that he was legit in ECW at some point.
Hatchetman, as like bringing in the Juggalo team. I'm surprised.
No,
ECW
I don't want Juggalos in my wrestling. Damn it! Get him away.
I know, but you gotta understand, like it would actually fit the mold. I'm surprised they never did it.
We're not gathering around.
I'm actually surprised because WCW and WWF did it. I'm surprised they didn't do it.
Shout out to my buddy Crooked Steel Gaming, who's a big ICP fan. We were just talking about
Hurricane Helms. I bring in. I bring in Jack Swagger, but I'd actually call him Jack Hagar. Because I think it's Jack Hagar and
so I feel like you're gonna name like every guy in the company.
No, Jeff Hardy. How he was not in ECW? How did they not bring them in as in ECW? Like they would have helped that brand so